con la siguiente ponencia. Como he dicho antes, nos vamos a hacer un viajecillo, se podría decir así, un viaje ornitológico por Cabo Verde, Santo Tomé y Príncipe. Los ponentes son Hugo Sampaio, que él es de Coimbra, son los dos portugueses, y Lara Brun. La conferencia es en inglés. Luego al final podéis hacer consultas sin problema. Y bueno, los dos trabajan juntos para SPEA, que es la Sociedad Portuguesa para el Estudio de las Aves, y van a hacer este recorrido. Ellos, estaba hablando ahora con ellos, me han dicho que, bueno, pues que trabajan en Portugal con socios de fuera, pero que ellos realmente no son los que hacen las rutas por Santo Tomé y Príncipe, pero sí que es lo que nos van a mostrar. Así que muchas gracias y adelante.
Hello everyone. Everyone can hear me okay? Buenos dias, bom dia a todos. My name is Lara. I have my colleague Hugo over there, and we are going to take you on a journey through Cape Verde, and São Tomé and Príncipe, and hopefully give you a little taste of these two countries and entice you to come and visit them. Cape Verde and São Tomé are obviously very different, but very similar. And it can be maybe a bit strange for us to be talking about them together, but we will explain to you why. But this is just a map for you to realize where they are. There's these two yellow dots that are showing you where they are. There are obviously two Portuguese-speaking countries. But they are one on the Atlantic Ocean and one more further south on the equator, and that of course gives them very different types of habitats, very different birds, very different people. So yeah, similar in some ways, but very different in others. And this is just two pictures that show you a little bit about the types of habitats that we find there. On the left is Cape Verde, much drier. And on the right, we have São Tomé and Príncipe, which used to be covered completely in forest. Nowadays is not anymore due to deforestation, which we will tell you a little bit more. But yeah, very, very different countries, in fact. And why are we talking about Cape Verde and São Tomé and Príncipe? We are from Portugal. We work for BirdLife Portugal, for SPEA, Sociedade Portuguesa para o Estudo das Aves. But in fact, we have been working in these countries for about 15 years, together with BirdLife International, the RSPB, and local NGOs like Biosfera, Fundação Príncipe, Associação Monte Pico. And at the moment, we are here because we have a project called Ilhas Mais, a very big project that finishes at the end of this year. Which is very much to do with working with the local people and the local communities in very different areas, to do with conservation, bird counts and things like that. But one of the actions is to increase the awareness of these two countries as very good bird watching places, so places you can go to bird watch. Because they are not very much visited for bird watching. And so, yes, very much to do with raising awareness about these two countries as good bird watching hotspots. For over, as I said, we have been working in São Tomé and Príncipe and Cape Verde for more than 15 years, and a lot to do with training local teams on how to gather information about their endemic species, also training guides in bird watching. We have been working very much with the communities, raising awareness about their birds, the endemic birds they have, but also, you know, as opposed to a lot of these communities were hunting these endemic birds, so we were trying to show them, you know, the advantage of not hunting them, but protecting them and showing them to the people, to visitors. And this is just a mural that a local artist he painted in one of the local communities in São Tomé, and it has pictures of some of the birds there. When we talk about Cape Verde, we have been working. We worked in Cape Verde, I will show you later, it has many different islands, but we have been working on Santa Luzia to stop the hunting. People were eating the shearwaters and the turtles, so we worked with the local communities to try and stop this, and we did. This is a very nice picture of one of our projects that was to do with the Hazu lark, one lark that existed in one island, the Hazu Island. And so we had a project of reintroduction in Santa Luzia, which is another island. So the population in Hazu Island was struggling. It was very dependent on weather. And so if there was a big storm or very bad weather for a long period, the population would decline. And so in Santa Luzia, there had been, we knew that there had existed Hazu lark there, so we had a project of reintroduction, which is doing very well. The Hazu lark is doing very well nowadays. Yes, working with the local fishermen, of course, to do with seabird bycatch and using mitigation measures to prevent this. And where is Cabo Verde? There is a map that I'll show you after, but it basically consists of 10 volcanic islands, more than 4,000 square kilometers. And as you can see on the map, they lie around 600 kilometers west of Cape Verde, which is where they get their name from, which is the westernmost point of continental Africa. You see there on the map. Very quickly, there's direct flights from Portugal and Spain as well, and other several European countries. And there's lots of domestic flights between the islands, so it's easy to get around. So this is a map, a little information about the archipelago. The islands on the north are the Barlavento Islands because they get the more wind, and the ones on the south are the Sotavento Islands. They get the less wind. And of course, the archipelago was uninhabited, we think, until the 15th century when the Portuguese explorers settled on the islands, and Cape Verde became an important commercial center, a stopping point for a lot of ships. But nowadays, it relies a lot on tourism. These are just some pictures to show you a little bit. This is Santiago, the mountains in Santiago. This is in Fogo Island. Here there's quite a lot of plantations, and it's a more humid area, Fogo Island. I forgot to tell you, Fogo Island has a volcano which last erupted in 2014 or 2015. This is a drier area of Santiago. Of course, the beaches, very much with volcanic sand. The volcano I was telling you about in Fogo, the beaches in Santa Luzia, or on more of the uninhabited islands. And São Tomé and Príncipe, further south, of course, on the equator in the Gulf of Guinea, are 2 islands with lots of small islets as well. Combined total land of around 1,000 square kilometers, so much smaller. There's direct flights from Lisbon. And domestic flights between São Tomé and Príncipe, the 2 main islands. This is another map to show you where it is. As you can see, there's a line of 4 islands, but we are talking about only the ones in the middle, São Tomé and Príncipe. But this is important for you to later understand, and Hugo will be telling you more about the birds and how they came to be here in these islands and how they evolved to be there. And the same with São Tomé. They were uninhabited until they were discovered by Portuguese around 1470. And they were, of course, deemed perfect for trade with mainland. Originally, there were quite a lot of sugar plantations, which then changed to coffee and cocoa plantations. And they are now very much, they still have a lot of cocoa plantations still. It's one of the main crops of the islands. And of course, these sugar plantations and coffee and cocoa plantations led to a lot of deforestation. So about 2/3 of the island were deforested. And it relies a lot on tourism as well. A few pictures to show you. This is the area where it was deforested. So this is more of a pseudo savanna, much drier. Of course, we also have the lush forests, lots of humidity. This is in Príncipe, very humid, very forest, a lot of forest. This is the mangrove, a very important habitat as well. And of course, very nice beaches, paradise beaches. This is in Príncipe. And why are we talking about tourism? I think we all know that ecotourism can be a very important way to support the local communities, and especially bird watching, but nature tourism as well can offer a sustainable alternative to mass tourism. Instead of staying in the big hotels, we can stay in smaller lodges owned by local people. We can use local guides. We can eat at the local restaurants. And it's a way to preserve the important habitats that exist in these countries. I think we all know this, but it's important to remember and to make the effort to visit these two countries. This is just an example of a coffee plantation that you can visit, and a guide will show you around. This is in São Tomé. Some nice pictures of a group that we took there a few years ago. On the right, down there, we are on the equator line, actually. A few more nice pictures of the group going around São Tomé. And this is in Cape Verde. We met up with this local fisherman, and he was showing us a colony of tropic birds. And I'm going to pass on to my colleague Hugo, which is going to tell a little bit about the birds in São Tomé and Cape Verde.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lara. So now I will tell you a little more about the birds we can see in both countries. So starting about São Tomé, what is the interest of this country and the importance when we talk about birds? So in São Tomé and Príncipe, we are talking about two small islands, over 1,000 square kilometers. So two tiny islands, a small country. But for the size of this country, we have many endemic species of birds. So we have at least, because some species are can still be considered in the future, can be considered endemic species as well. But now we have at least 28 endemic species of birds for two small islands. One of these is shared with another country, as Lara has shown you. There are 4 islands. 2 of these islands belong to another country, which is Equatorial Guinea. But the birds evolved in these 4 volcanic islands. So one of the endemic birds is shared with another island, but then we have a lot of endemic species for two small islands. And this can be explained by the location of São Tomé and Príncipe in a very rich, biodiversity-rich area, the Gulf of Guinea, by the isolation of the islands. So they are not too far from they are oceanic islands, but not too far from the mainland, but not close enough for the birds to fly over. So they became isolated there and evolved into endemic species. Apart from the endemics, we don't have a big number of other species, but we have a list of around 200 birds that have been recorded in this country. I will show you just some guides that can help you, some books that can help you while bird watching in this country. But you also have some, nowadays we can use as well some apps for helping us. So starting São Tomé and Príncipe, I will show you the most of the endemic birds. I'm starting by the most threatened ones. So as Lara told you, there was a lot of deforestation, and the ones in São Tomé and Príncipe, the birds are forest birds, because this country was covered with forest, so all the birds are a bit forest dependent. These ones that are critically endangered, they are all very dependent on primate forest, the native habitat that was there. And we don't have that much habitat nowadays, so they are quite threatened. 3 of them are endemic from São Tomé, 1 is endemic from Príncipe Island. So we have the São Tomé Fiscal, we have the São Tomé Grosbeak, and the São Tomé Ibis. This is so evolution in islands can do weird things to birds. So some, for example, in general, they can lose some of the color as compared with mainland, where the birds are very colorful. They are less colorful, but there are other things that happen. Some birds become giant, some others become very small. So this ibis is a dwarf ibis. It's the smallest ibis in the world. And as in opposite way, the grosbeak is the biggest canary in the world. So this is the birds of the world. There's a new feature, a recent feature that has put the phylogeny, the birds together according to their phylogeny and the relation. So this grosbeak, endemic from São Tomé, some years ago it had another genus. So it had an entire genus for itself because people didn't know where to put it. So, but more recently, with genetic analysis, people discovered that this is a canary, a seed eater. So now it's placed together with the seed eaters, and the genus is not Neospisa, it's Critagra now. So this has helped to discover where the birds fit. Also show you where the principal thrush can be fitted. The principal thrush is quite rare, as I've told you. It's only found in primate forest, as opposite to the São Tomé thrush, which is very common. They are very closely related, but one very dependent on forest, and the other much more common and seen a bit everywhere. Other 4 endemic birds that are also threatened, not so much as the others, but we have the Scops owls, 1 in each island, and another interesting thing is that the Príncipe Scops owl has only been proved to exist in 2016. So this was around 10 years ago. So imagine that in a country with 2 islands that have been inhabited for around 500 years, but that still has things to discover. So this owl, the Scops owl in Príncipe, has only been discovered 10 years ago, or proved to exist. Another interesting bird is this small bird, a bit brown, dull, but very interesting because looking at it, you don't know what this kind of bird is. And it also had an entire genus for itself because people didn't know where it would fit. This is the São Tomé shorttail. But actually, with genetics, people found that this is a wagtail. But a wagtail that evolved and that lost its tail. So we are used to see wagtails with long tails, but this one is also actually called the short tail. White eyes, it's another interesting evolution in this country. We have 4 species of white eyes endemic, 2 in São Tomé, 2 in Príncipe, and we have another one in Annobon, which belongs to Equatorial Guinea. So in 3 islands, we have 5 species of white eyes that evolved there, which is very interesting. And I didn't mention the São Tomé and Príncipe is called actually the African Galapagos, and this is one of the reasons, because in different islands, we have different endemic species, and the evolution that occurred there can be compared to what happened in the Galapagos. So I also can show you the 5 species of white-eyed and sparrows that exist in this part of the world. Sunbirds. In these 2 small islands, we have 4 species of sunbirds. This is a giant sunbird, so the biggest sunbird that exists, the giant sunbird, endemic from São Tomé. And we also have the Newton sunbird in São Tomé and the Príncipe sunbird in Príncipe. That one is the olive sunbird, which is not an endemic species, but is an endemic subspecies of Príncipe. Going to weavers, we have 3 species of endemic weavers, and there's another guy there that's not a weaver, but I will tell you about it. So we have 3 species of weavers. One of them is the giant weaver, again, the biggest weaver in the world. We also have São Tomé weaver, the Príncipe golden weaver, and that guy there below on the right is the Dorn's thrush babbler. It's another species that people didn't really know where to put it. It was called people thought it was a thrush babbler, but actually that's Sylvia. So it's a completely different kind of bird. It's a Sylvia. It's a warbler. It's a Dorn's thrush babbler, endemic from Príncipe. It's very common, very loud. That's why I think people put it in the thrush babbler, because it sings a lot. It has a lot of different sounds, but it's actually a warbler. Pigeons, we have the maroon pigeon, endemic from São Tomé, green pigeon, São Tomé green pigeon, and this is a pigeon that is endemic from São Tomé, Príncipe, but also occurs in Anubon, another island. So it's not an entire endemic from the São Tomé and Príncipe, but it's endemic from the Gulf of Guinea islands. The African green pigeon has a subspecies in Príncipe, so not an island endemic, but it's an endemic subspecies. Other birds that we can see, the Príncipe starling, also endemic. We have the very beautiful São Tomé paradise flycatcher, very beautiful. And this is São Tomé prinia, the only species of prinia that occurs in the country. But it's called the São Tomé alarm clock. So it does a lot of noise early in the morning. So the local people tell this is their alarm clock. And we also have the Príncipe seed eater that has, in the same country, has 3 subspecies. So we have one subspecies in Príncipe, one in São Tomé, and another one in a very small islet that occurs in Príncipe. So 3 subspecies that maybe with more analysis, who knows, that can be considered different endemic birds. Other endemic subspecies, we have the western barn owl, we have the blue-breasted kingfisher, the Timneh parrot, that's African grey parrot as a subspecies in Príncipe, and is very, very common. So we are used to hear that grey parrots are a bit threatened, are not that common, but in Príncipe it's really impossible not to see them and not to be amazed by so many parrots in a small island. We also have a very beautiful bird, the African emerald cuckoo. Other birds, we have the São Tomé kingfisher. The São Tomé kingfisher may become an endemic species. Nowadays, there's a bit of discussion. It is considered a subspecies of the malachite kingfisher, but some authors put it as 2 endemic species. So they defend that there's a São Tomé kingfisher, the Príncipe kingfisher, and that they are endemic, 2 endemic species, different from the malachite kingfisher. So this number that I gave you, 28 species, will probably grow in the near future. Other birds that we can see, I will just tell you about the golden-backed bishop. It's not an endemic bird from São Tomé, but can be seen in São Tomé. It's probably an introduced bird but it's interesting because you cannot see it in many places. This is the distribution area of the golden-backed bishop. So you can see it's a bird from Angola, but it's endemic from Angola. So you can only see it in Angola, and then in São Tomé, where it probably has been introduced. So it's another interesting bird that if you visit São Tomé and Príncipe, you can add to your list. But São Tomé has a lot of endemic land birds, but you can also go out on the sea and see good colonies of seabirds with the white-tailed tropic bird, red-footed booby. Doesn't nest there, or maybe it's not. We don't know if it nests there, if it breeds there, or if it uses the islets just for changing the feathers. But it can probably nest there as well. But we have a lot of brown boobies, and then black noddies, brown noddies. These are the species, the seabirds that breed in these little islands as well, and can be seen when you visit São Tomé and Príncipe. Now, continuing on the seabirds and changing a bit north to Cape Verde, I'll tell you a little bit about the birds of Cape Verde. Cape Verde has some endemic birds, land birds, but it's remarkable for the important colonies of seabirds. So it's a country that if you go there, you will probably go to the sea more often to see the endemic seabirds that are there. It has more species recorded than São Tomé and Príncipe. It has around 300 birds that have been recorded, but I'll tell you mostly about the resident ones and the breeding ones. These are some books that you can use for help you identifying the birds of Cape Verde. And then some of the endemic seabirds. So we have the Boyd's shearwater, we have the Cape Verde shearwater, the Cape Verde petrel that breeds in islets, but also in mountains, inland, like Santiago and Fogo Island, have colonies of this Cape Verde petrel. And we also have the Cape Verde storm petrel. So these four species are endemic, can only be seen in Cape Verde. Other seabirds, not endemic, but that are common breeders there. So we have the Bulwer's petrel, the red-billed tropic bird. In São Tomé, we have the other species breeding. Here is the red-billed tropic bird. Again, brown booby, and white-faced storm petrel. Going to land birds now, these are endemic birds from Cape Verde. The Iago sparrow is very, very common and can be easily seen. More common in some islands than in others, but for example, in Santiago, you see it very easily. It's a very beautiful sparrow. More difficult to see, we have the Cape Verde swamp warbler. It doesn't show that much, but it's also an endemic and important bird in Cape Verde. And this is the lark that Lara talked about. It had a very tiny population, but it only occurred in Raso, a small islet, but now it also occurs in Santa Luzia, so a bigger island, not inhabited. So it's a difficult bird to see because you need a special permission to go, and most of the people can go out on the sea to see seabirds, and sometimes they approach the islands and try to see it from the boat. So for people that are not researchers, for common bird watchers, it's very difficult to see the Raso skylark. It's a threatened bird that occurs only in protected areas that are not inhabited. But the Cape Verde swift is another endemic and can be easily seen as well. Now I will show you some endemic subspecies. So we have the Cape Verde heron. It looks like it's a purple heron, but completely different from our purple heron. So if you see it, you can easily see that the colors, the patterns are different from our purple heron. It's an endemic subspecies so far. We also have two endemic subspecies of kestrel. So depending on the Barlavento, which are the northern islands, we have one subspecies, and on the southern islands, we have another subspecies of kestrel. The Cape Verde owl, also a subspecies. And we have the gray-headed kingfisher. I think it's not endemic subspecies, but it's the national bird. So it's called passarinha, and it's the bird that it's considered the national bird. Also very nice bird. Now, as we've told, Cape Verde is quite dry, so we also have some birds that are mostly seen in dry land. We have, and that are very nice birds to see. We have the greater hoopoe lark, the bar-tailed lark, the black-crowned sparrowlark, and the cream-colored cursor. So species that we cannot see in Europe, not usually. African birds. We also have the spectacled warbler. It's very, very common. It's at least in Portugal, it's a very difficult bird to see. But if you go to Cape Verde, hard to miss it. It's very easy to see the spectacled warbler. They also have a good colony of osprey and other interesting birds that you can see that cannot be seen in Europe: the brown-necked raven or the yellow-billed egret. When to go? So, well, you can go any time on the year, but there are, for São Tomé, there are 2 seasons when it's best to go for bird watching because it rains less. So they have 2 short periods of that when it rains less. It goes from June, July, August, or in December, January, March. It's when it rains less. So for going out on the field, you have, for some endemics, you have to enter the forest to see them. So you don't get so wet usually. For Cape Verde, you can go around May for land birds. May, June, it's a good time to go. But also after the rain season, they get easy to see in around October. But for seabirds, it's not so condensed in a few months, so because we have some species and they breed in different months. So, but between October and March, it's a good time to see different species of seabirds. Some practical tips. So, Portuguese-speaking countries, not a lot of English. It's not widely spoken the English. They have national currencies, but you can pay with euro or dollar. And it's mostly fish and some vegetables, but you can eat a lot of good fish there. Some examples of the food you can have there. Some nice things to see, and well, always remind that traveling is an adventure. So these 2 countries, very interesting to visit, very different, but very good places for birdwatch and see other things as well. So the landscape, it's very interesting countries to go. Okay, thank you very much.
Obrigado pela apresentação. Parabéns.
Obrigado.
¿Alguien tiene alguna pregunta?